Hey everyone, Todd here, internalarchitect.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about why patience is so important, and I'm going to go over 10 lessons that you can do to kind of help start you down that path of really working on patience, because it is a really important aspect of going through the cancer experience and everything else that life can throw at you. But before I begin, please hit subscribe below and hit the bell for notifications so you know when I put out a new video. So patience. Now, what is the definition of patience? It's the capacity to accept trouble or suffering without getting angry or upset. And that's pretty accurate when it comes to life in general, right? For us cancer patients, it's even that much more important. Now, obviously, patience is one of so many lessons that we can really use to help get us through not only the day-to-day activities that we are faced with as a survivor and as a patient, but it is also one of the most important ones, I truly believe, because of all the waiting that we have to do in between all the tests that we do and getting results, and then treatments to scans. There's just there's a lot of time that goes on where we really wish we could have answers immediately, right? So that's where it's really kind of an important thing to really understand what patience means kind of at a deeper level. Now there are two things that really drive me absolutely up the wall that test my patience more than anything. One is driving, and two is waiting on test results. Driving for me is one of those things that just I don't know why it is, but for whatever the reason is, maybe it's just dealing with a lot of people, maybe it's where I live, I get really anxious when I have to drive, and it usually has to do with just people having to be in a rush and then almost causing accidents because of that. And I will be totally honest with you, there was a point in time where I was a wild kid and I did things driving I shouldn't have done. And as I've gotten older, it has made it became very clear just how all the mistakes that I made and what I've been able to learn from them. It has also been one of the main ways that has taught me patience, because I have a Class A commercial driver's license, so I can essentially drive big rigs, dump trucks, tag trailers, haul equipment, a lot of different stuff. And when you are driving with so much weight, it really becomes a big issue when it comes to just danger on the road. So that is one thing that has really taught me, and I'll touch on this a little bit later in the video, but that is something that I really had to learn as I was going through getting my license and everything, a way to really calm down and kind of take that step back and really deal with the anxiety and the frustration I get when it comes to driving. The second thing is all those results that we get for all the tests that we have to do as cancer patients and survivors. And the best example I can give you, and especially the most recent one, is about a week and a half ago, actually almost 2 weeks ago, we'll just say a week and a half ago, I had a biopsy done in my left armpit for not re-diagnosed, but just to make sure that this next step in all my treatment that I'm moving forward with, it is the same type of Hodgkin's, and that it hasn't for some reason morphed into something different. And normally it takes about 5 to 7 business days to get that information back from the pathology department and know kind of what's going on, and then we can move forward with treatment. Well, I didn't get any information until about day 9, and turns out that the biopsy that we got, the samples that we got, came back inconclusive. They think they saw a little bit of active cells going on, but they weren't. They actually sent it out to a third party, and it came back the same with them too. So it just goes to show you that there are usually reasons why time takes so long and why your patience is going to get tested. And by the time I got this information back, I was going to call them the next day, my oncologist, and just check in and see what was going on, because it usually just doesn't take that long. But there's, at the end of the day, there's usually kind of a good reason why, but it's just a matter of trying to keep that patience in a spot that isn't going to get you so overly frustrated that you will start making rash decisions. So that was the other thing. I was really anxious and really, it was affecting me, So unfortunately, I was able to get out and do a couple good exercise activities. I got out on my split board twice, and I got out on a good road bike while the weather was nice before we got this last little bit of snow today, or last night. So those are the things, those are a couple things of why it's so important to have some patience, because there's usually a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you just don't know. And that's why it's really, really, really hard, is because, especially for someone like myself who wants to know kind of where things are at, why they are, I like information. It's really hard to not get this information when you want it. So yeah, just all this time, all this waiting, and at this point in my life, patience is more important than ever. So, and it gets, for everyone out there, it gets a little bit harder just because of how our attention spans are. They're just the next shiny object going on, or swipe left, swipe right, and just, swipe up, swipe down, whatever it is, it just doesn't, at the end of the day, our attention spans are just so short that, being able to have patience is really, really tricky for a lot of us that are, especially for a lot of younger folks that are dealing with cancer too, because they are now thrown into this world of having to wait. And it's like a hurry up, you get all these things done, and then you hurry up and wait. And it's this vicious wave of waiting and patience testing that can be really hard. So, all right. So the first thing I want to talk about is you're never going to get an answer when you want it. And kind of going back to what I was just saying, and it's just, there's 99% of the time, you're in the middle of needing an answer to kind of make that next decision, right? But it never happens when you want it. And I do the best to make sure that I give myself enough time to get the answers that I feel I need in order to make the next informed decision. But sometimes that's just really, really hard. And this is why patience is really, really important, especially right now for us cancer patients that, we're waiting on biopsies, we're waiting on results, we're having to schedule new tests, and there's just this snowball effect of everything that will test your patience because of all the waiting that we do. And it's once you're able to kind of get your head around the fact that you'll just never get an answer to what you want at that moment, and you realize that it's going to take a few days, things start to become a little easier, your anxiety starts to lift up, and then things become, I won't say easy, but they become a little bit more lighthearted, I guess. And it's one of those things, that just takes time. So just realize that you will never get an answer when you want it. Okay. The second thing I want to talk about is, who knows what opportunities are going to present themselves. Now, because you are trying to be patient and everything, but you are also eager to get that information, it's really easy to make a decision not based on all the facts presented to you. And that is another reason why it's really, really important, is you got to take time to let the facts all come in, right? To get all the facts, to get them all in so that you can actually make an informed decision. And then there's the possibility that a great opportunity might just present itself within the mix of the whole thing. So you take that time to really, allow the opportunities to potentially happen. And if you're patient, I've seen this, I've experienced this, and it's absolutely true. You just got to have the time and the patience to let time do its thing to get all that information in. And once that happens, then you can make that informed decision and move forward. And who knows, maybe as a patient, maybe you will be put into a better treatment program because of that. And if you end up rushing it, I can't say that I've had this issue, but there are doctors out there that are greedy, and if you force things to happen faster than they should, then you might end up going down the wrong path for potential treatment and a possible way to put you in remission and keep you there. So I don't want to say there's a cure, because I don't believe there's a cure for cancer yet. That's just been my experience and what I've learned about it all at this point. So, but what if you're that one person where there is a possible cure that comes out and you weren't patient enough and you had to go through so much extra treatment because of it? I'm just speculating, but there's that thought of what it is. So, so the third thing I want to talk about is, and the lesson I want to share with you is, are you doing something good with this free time that we have right now? Now, I've talked about this in some past videos of, if you are one of the 20, I think as of today's date, we're like 26 or 28 million people that are unemployed now. And if you happen to be one of those people that are unemployed and going through cancer right now, you obviously have a lot of free time on your hands. So the big thing is, what are you doing to fill this time? Are you trying to do something good and productive and positive with yourself, or are you not? And this is a really, really important one, because I think as you have time, as free time kind of comes to you now, or you have it now, it's important to have something that gives you some direction, gives you some purpose, and gives you some responsibility in getting up every day and doing something good. Now, it doesn't matter what it is. You can be as creative as you want about this, but at the end of the day, this is something that you really, really should do, because it makes you motivated to get up in the morning. It makes you motivated to take a shower, to just get your day going, and to get on it. And whether that is you like exercising, or you like to write, or you're an artist of some sort, whether you like to paint or sculpt or whatever, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're focusing your time on doing something like that, instead of wallowing in the fear that's going on with COVID-19, it makes for just such a better atmosphere for yourself and for the people around you also, and it comes out and it shows. So if you do something that is positive, like making videos for YouTube and sharing your experiences, I don't know what that could be for you, but at the end of the day, if you're not doing something, do something. Take some action and do something that's going to help motivate you in the long run. Because whether or not your prognosis looks good or looks bleak, at least you're filling this time with something that's keeping you occupied, with something that you really, truly like to do. So I think I truly believe that, that will also kind of coincide with number 2 in developing and figuring or letting that energy kind of come into you to allow new opportunities to possibly happen. So that is something I really find that's really important. The fourth thing I want to talk about is allows you this time that we have, and having patience allows you to improve your mental and physical health. Now, I truly believe that this COVID-19 stay-at-home thing has been one of the biggest blessings and one of the biggest opportunities that I can think I've ever had in my life. And this is because even though I'm going through cancer, even though I am dealing with all these different aspects of this reoccurrence, the and actually it's becoming more of a reality of having another stem cell transplant done sometime this summer, and just everything else, it has given me the opportunity to really work on myself, and it really has done a lot to help me improve my mental state. It's given me a chance to really work on a lot of other things that really are important to me mentally also, which I will actually hit on one in a coming one here in a second, but or later in the video. But it also gives me the opportunity to work on my physical health too. And since, I mean, my whole arm has been a little bit sore because of the biopsy and stuff, but I've been really working and rehabbing that back, and it actually feels pretty good right now. So it's given me that time to do that. It's given me some time to really have some moment of good physical activity that has helped, give me a rush in endorphins and really deal with my anxiety and stress in a much more positive light. So I think that's really something that is important for cancer survivors and patients to really do. Now, if you're in the middle of treatment, you're going to be feeling like hell. Okay, if you're going through chemotherapy, you will have days where you're not doing that good, and you just want to sleep and whatever, and that's fine. But in between your treatments, after you kind of come out of the fog for a little bit, do something physical. Go walk. Just go walk. When I was going through my original diagnosis 10 years ago, I walked every single day. Even after treatment, even when I was like feeling the worst because of chemo. And I made it a point to walk every single day because that physical activity just made me feel so much better. And it's all scientifically proven too. So, keep that in mind, that just it's as shitty as you will feel and as difficult and unmotivated as you are going to be, do it, and this kind of goes back to the number 3 spot too, of doing something good with your free time. So let's see, number 5. It gives you a chance to calm down and make rational decisions. Being patient is like it's like the antidote for anxiety in a sense, because you're able to kind of take everything, let it, if you're able to sleep on stuff, not make decisions as rational or as irrational, you're able to kind of suck it in, you're able to sleep on it, and then you're able to kind of take a moment and really rationalize what is happening and why it's happening. And then you can like, take all this information, take all the evidence and all the facts and everything else, and make an educated decision, a rational, educated decision to help you move forward with whatever it is. Now, as a cancer patient and a survivor, this is even more so important, because as you're going through this, and you very well may be going through this alone, and I have empathy for you if you are, and that's why this is even more so critical for you, because if you're able to give yourself a little bit of time, then you can kind of relax a little bit and understand that, okay, I have X amount of treatment that I have to do. I'm going to mentally prepare myself now, and I'm going to go in with this headstrong, and I'm going to fight this. I know I'm going to feel like shit. I know I'm going to feel beat up, and my body's going to be really, really wrecked at the end of this. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do things that are going to help prevent that as best as I possibly can. And that's, like going back to number 4 is just getting some physical exercise while you're doing stuff. So having that patience to allow the time to kind of do what it does will help you really focus on getting through this whole experience all at once. So it's really important to give yourself a chance to calm down and make those rational decisions that so need to happen, especially if you are a patient going through this alone. I commend you for that, just so you know, and I really believe that you are one of the strongest people out there. All right, so number 6 is having patience will help you develop a new set of skills, right? Now, if you are taking the time to learn new things with this free time that you have going on, you can learn whatever it is. There's millions of books you can read. There's online courses you can take. There's obviously YouTube, where you can learn all sorts of interesting skills that you can practice on and get better with. The possibilities are endless. The only thing that's holding you back is your own mind of getting out of the laziness and the defeatist feelings that you're going through, right? And say you're good at computers, say you know how to program a little bit, you're going through this. Why don't you learn about 3D printing? That's an interesting skill, and it might be something that you become passionate about. I don't know. There's actually a lyric from one of my new favorite hip hop artists. His name's Locksmith, and it goes like this: the definition of grind is through repetition and time. Yeah, the definition of grind is through repetition and time. And it's one of those things that if you have something that you can focus on, and then you can kind of continue to keep going at it and grinding at it and learning about it, you'll become better at it, and you'll become, informed about it, and you'll be able to kind of take it to that next level. And that's what's so cool about that lyric. It's just, you end up learning, and it kind of focuses you, and it makes you do something that you may not necessarily have thought of in your normal way of life. So if you're getting out of this habit of laziness and defeatist attitude, and this is a way for you to kind of keep the wheel spinning, because it's also super important to keep your head learning and keep those brain synapses and everything else that control all the information going on throughout your whole entire body by learning, and by keeping your brain motivated and keeping yourself just learning. That's really the biggest thing. So develop a new set of skills during this time, because I can't tell you how much I've been able to learn just in the last 6 weeks of me being in isolation from my family. And a lot of it's just I have disciplined myself to a couple things, and I'm just trying to grind it through and just get used to the repetition over time. And it truly is amazing. And that's where that kind of leads me into number 7. And it teaches you, patience teaches you to battle worry and frustration. And it's like there's a fun little quote. It's like an older sibling that looked at you when you made mistakes, shaking their head in disbelief. And it's funny, because that's kind of what it is, as you learn to battle worry and frustration, you have to go through that series of events. You have to learn it. You have to learn it somehow, right? And you learn it by making mistakes, and you keep you take that information from the mistake and you apply it to the next one, and you kind of just keep building on that. And that's really what builds wisdom and gives you the opportunity to teach other people what you have learned, right? And that's, it's a hard way of doing it, but I guess I've never been really good at learning things the easy way either. So, just I think for a cancer patient, there's just always a bit of worry and frustration in the back of your head, and I think it's really important to just be. This is another reason why patience is so important. Is it just teaches you to just slow down and make those rational decisions, and by working on and battling that worry and belief and frustration, it really brings a lot of the stuff full circle for you. And it's incredibly satisfying when you are able to take all this information and just really keep moving forward with it, and you're doing something good with your time and your effort, and in between each session that you're doing. And it doesn't matter if it's chemo or if it's radiation. So keep that in mind also. So the 8th thing I want to do, the lesson I would like to give is it helps you work on your relationship skills. Now, patience is an incredibly important part when it comes to your relationship now, whether that's your relationship with your kids, with your spouse, or with friends or other family, because you have so many difference of opinions, right? And at the end of the day, you got to just take in all the opinions and all the love and support, and allow that patience to kind of help you kind of work through a lot of the challenges that come along. Because in my case, my spouse is one of my biggest supporters, and also is my rock. She's my solid, and so I depend on her for a lot of things, and emotionally wise, and it's really it's become one of those things that, like, I learn. She is such an amazing teacher to begin with, so I learn where I make my mistakes, and I learn why I make them, and then I can kind of use that and move forward and prove to her something a little bit different next time. And I admit I've had struggles in this area. My relationship skills and my communication skills aren't and haven't been the best in the past, and I'm still working on them to this day. But as these situations arise, when I realize that I hurt her feelings or my family's feelings in some weird way or whatever, I'm getting back into that growth mindset and making sure that I can talk with her about it in a rational level. And it's been super helpful. And I had a situation just in the last couple days where it was just that, like, it got really intense, and it was over. I could have circumvented the entire argument and the entire series of events that happened with a simple phone call or a text. And it didn't click. It didn't click with me because it just until everything started to unfold itself. And so it was a good lesson. It was a good way for me to realize just the things that my own weird habits and my own weird idiosyncrasies that I need to work on to help improve our relationship. And that's where the patience side of it really comes in, because I would not have known this if I didn't really have the patience and have the time to work on all this, right? And to realize the mistake that I made and take it to the next level. So the number 9 thing is it can help create a calming feeling. Now, it's easy to get worked up, right? I mean, about anything and whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. You can get worked up over everything. And when there's stress involved, like like with cancer and going through treatment and diagnosis and PET scans and the experience, because I like to take cancer as an experience that you go through, not exactly the most pleasant, but one of the most profound ones that a person can go through. And as you kind of go through this, having the patience, and realizing and learning from your mistakes, it creates this calm feeling that happens over you. And it's a little hard to explain, but I feel like I'm more at peace now than I have been in my entire life. Now I'm going through all this crazy stress with, another diagnosis, and what is going to be the next course of treatment to get back in remission, and then a stem cell, an allogenic stem cell transplant. And then there's all sorts of scary stuff that comes along with that, like graft host disease and the possibility of it not working again. I mean, I unfortunately live with a single fear that I am just going to be living with Hodgkin's for the rest of my life. And I don't know, obviously no one knows how long that's going to be, but that's just kind of part of it. And because I've spent time really working on the psychology, my psychology of all this, and it's taken a lot of work too with therapists and counselors and psychologists to help me work through all this stuff too. And I'm at a point where I feel good about it all. It's tough and it's a lot of work, but I feel really, really good. The other thing it does is it teaches you discipline, and it teaches you to be disciplined with your actions, your daily actions, especially when it comes to patients, because you have to slow it down. You have to slow all the stuff, because with cancer, there's like this crazy hurry up and wait mentality. It's like, all right, we got to do biopsies, we got to get treatment, we got to do this, we got to do that, and then you got to wait because we need to wait to get results, and then you wait for a couple weeks, and then it's like back at it. We got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do a bone biopsy, we got to do all these tests. We got to make sure that you're good to go for transplant, this and this and that. And then you got to wait a couple weeks, and then you wait. And so there's just, being disciplined in your time, doing things that are outside of what cancer is and what the cancer experience is really, really important too. And that's why I really talk about time and the discipline with it, and understanding patience. It's all interconnected, right? It's just everything that you do, everything you talk about is interconnected. So, and then the last thing, number 10, I'm almost done, is 10 is a way to help practice self-control and discipline. Now, you've heard me talk about discipline, and that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. This last one is, like I said, I still get worked up over things that are small and insignificant. And what discipline has done is help teach me that self-control. That it's really amazing, because as I've gotten older, obviously I'm getting wiser to things that piss me off and drive me nuts. So I'm able to take that time and really put it forward into doing something that is positive, right? And going back to driving and stuff, like I used to get pretty worked up and have some road rage and just get really ornery with other drivers. And I wouldn't say that I wasn't an asshole, because that's what ornery is, right? But like because of my work and because of what I kind of wanted to do to set myself up for success, is I ended up getting my Class A commercial driver's license. So that allows me to drive damn near anything on the road. And because it's a commercial license, there's weight limits in this. And there's been a number of times where I've driven, some stuff that is close to 80,000 pounds, which is some of the limits to what my license can give me or let me do. And it teaches you a number of things when you have that much weight behind you, because in a lot of ways it can be a very deadly situation that you end up getting in. So you have to take your time. You have to be, again, patient, and then you have to learn to let situations just roll off your shoulders, roll off your back, because that the angriness and the frustration that comes along with certain situations, especially when you're driving, can ultimately lead to, you know, death and big problems that could really cause a lot of unnecessary stress down the road. And that's, you know, that's really the thing that I wanted to really talk about, and that's where I believe self-control really comes in, and just understanding where you are at situationally within the big picture, within your macro picture of your life and your world. So yeah, so you know, it's like I said, you know, patience covers a lot of different grounds, a lot of different bases, but this is one that I think is really, really important. An important aspect into how you approach, you know, your treatment and your life after cancer, because it really does make a big difference into how you kind of approach the rest of your life, especially as a survivor. So yeah, thank you for watching. I obviously, you know, hit me in the comment section below and let me know if you have any questions, you know, because there's a lot of things that come across with this that I know I didn't cover, but you know, I felt were really, really important when it comes to really just sharing this information with you. So again, thank you for your time and energy. I really appreciate that, and I will see you on the next video.